Minutes ago, the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, defended the Justice Department's handling of the Hunter Biden investigation. Take a listen.
Mr. Weiss, who was appointed by President Trump as the U.S. Attorney in Delaware and assigned this matter during the previous administration, would be permitted to continue his investigation and to make a decision to prosecute any way in which he wanted to and in any district in which he wanted to. Mr. Weiss has since sent a letter to the House Judiciary Committee confirming that he had that authority.
Governor Chris Christie is back with me now. Good timing to have you here as a former U.S. attorney. Obviously, you have your political and candidate hat on as well. But listening to him say that, especially in the face of, and we know he said that because of so much Republican criticism and accusations that I don't believe that they have evidence of, that there was influence from Joe Biden, from the Biden Justice Department on the Hunter Biden plea deal.
Look, I have no idea whether there was influence or not, but I'm very convinced there was incompetence. I mean, look, I did these cases down, okay? To do a simple tax and gun case, 5 years to get to a conclusion is outrageous. Whoever the AUSAs who were handling that for me when I was U.S. attorney, I would have fired him at 2 years. I mean, this is, and so we got to wonder what was going on behind the scenes. And what else were they looking at that they chose not to bring charges on?
Well, that's it. I mean, isn't it probable that it's not that they were just looking at a gun case and 2 tax charges, that they were looking at other allegations that they decided not to charge him on?
They may have, but we need to know what the decision-making was behind that. This is not a normal case. And by the way, as you know, when I was U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, I did 130 political corruption prosecutions without a defeat, and against Republicans and Democrats. But when you do those cases, you have an additional obligation of transparency because the public needs to know what their elected officials were up to and why you decided. I declined a big case one time and wrote an entire letter about why we declined it and why we didn't do it. The public has a right to know this. And we're seeing no transparency from the Justice Department. And given the way they handle this, there's not a reason for us to have a lot of faith in what the Attorney General says.
So I think some people in DOJ would argue by the book is to not reveal things that didn't turn out to be true because you don't want to go down the James Comey road. Well, but you're saying, okay, maybe that was a bad example. Don't go down the James Comey road with me. I won't. Okay, but when it comes to transparency, you think that it's a fair thing for somebody who was investigated for the public to know what was investigated, even though it wasn't something that they felt was enough to be charged on? You
got to look, Dana, at the whole situation. This is not a situation where what the allegations were secret. We have Hunter Biden's laptop. We have all of these text messages and emails which have been revealed. So I understand what they would be saying if the entire thing was up behind a curtain and no one saw it and now you're revealing something people didn't know. There have been specific allegations that have been placed out into the public in large measure because of some real, bad moves by Hunter Biden in terms of the way he dealt with his own personal information. So we now know that. You can't act as if we don't know it. So you have to answer that as a prosecutor. And again, I love the Democrats and the hypocrisy. They want more gun laws, right? Yet they're not enforcing this gun law. They're not enforcing the gun law which says you cannot lie on an application for a gun permit. And if you do, it's a felony. And I can't imagine that the Democratic Party, who wants more and more gun laws and yells at Republicans for not having more, they won't enforce when they're in charge the gun laws that are already on the books. And so I think the whole thing has been handled badly. And I think Mr. Weiss looks, quite frankly, like a ham and egger. Delaware is a very small office. It doesn't handle big cases. I think this guy looks like he was over his head.
Let me go again to new remarks from the Attorney General, pushing back on the idea that Republicans are saying that there are 2 tiers of justice.
Understand that some have chosen to attack the integrity of the Justice Department and its components and its employees by claiming that we do not treat like cases alike. This constitutes an attack on an institution that is essential to American democracy and essential to the safety of the American people. Nothing could be further from the truth. You've all heard me say many times that we make our cases based on the facts and the law.
He's a mild-mannered guy. That's intense for Merrick Garland.
Hey, look, is he telling me that he's warranting all of the conduct of Eric Holder, all of the conduct of James Comey, all of the conduct of Loretta Lynch?
I think he can only speak for the time that he's been in charge.
Then his arguments are misplaced, because what Republicans are saying, and I'm one of them, that is saying Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted. I said that back in 2016. She should have been prosecuted. And when she was not prosecuted for mishandling of those documents, and Donald Trump was, gives the appearance of two tiers of justice. Now, I'm not one of those people who then say, well, Trump should never be prosecuted and should get a pass because of bad conduct. But he can't say, Dana, that the Justice Department never does that, because then he's putting himself in the trap of warranting Loretta Lynch, James Comey, and Jeff Sessions, which I don't think he wants to do.
So you're right that a lot of Republicans are saying what you're saying, and they're bringing the Hillary Clinton into it. We're not going to go down into that discussion, because a lot of people who were involved in the Hillary Clinton investigation don't agree with you that it was worth prosecuting. But what Republicans are saying about the Biden Justice Department is the two tiers are Donald Trump and Hunter Biden, which, well, look, apples and oranges?
They're two very different cases.
Right.
But that's why I'm concerned about the transparency here, about what else did they look at and what conclusions did they come to. Because it is a very public case, and much of the information has gotten out into the public stream. And so they need and owe the American people an explanation. And Congress has the ability to exercise oversight on this as well, and I'm confident they will. But my argument about the Justice Department is that under Loretta Lynch and Jim Comey, they made a decision that I think is completely inconsistent with what we would have done in the Bush Justice Department under John Ashcroft. And so they need to answer for that. And I don't think Merrick Garland, by saying what he's saying, is warranting action, which I think is unwise for him to do.